Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Jeffrey Epstein appears to have confirmed that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was photographed with Virginia Giuffre, according to a newly released email. The message, sent by Epstein, who is alleged to have taken the photo, reads, "Yes, she was on my plane, and yes, she had her picture taken with Andrew." Epstein's account appears to contradict the former prince's assertion that he never met Miss Giuffre, and his long-standing suggestion that the image of him with his arm around her may have been doctored. The July 2011 email was published on Wednesday, alongside more than 20,000 pages of correspondence from the convicted sex offender and disgraced financier's estate.
So with all of that, I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape. We went through this short-term disaster with the Democrats because they thought it would be good politically. And it's an honor now to sign this incredible bill and get our country working again. Thank you very much.
After 43 days, the longest US government shutdown in history is coming to an end. Federal workers will start receiving pay again. Government services that have been curtailed or suspended entirely will resume. Senate Democrats, through their use of the parliamentary filibuster, were able to trigger the shutdown despite being in a minority in the chamber by refusing to go along with a Republican measure to temporarily fund the government. When a handful of Democrats broke ranks to vote to reopen the government on Sunday, they received next to nothing in return. Some 200 Kenyans are fighting for Russia in its war against Ukraine, and more could be recruited into the conflict, according to authorities. Among them are former members of Kenya's security forces, according to Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister. Some of those who had been recruited said they were forced to assemble drones and handle chemicals without proper training or protective gear. About 1,400 citizens from across Africa are fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine, with Ukraine saying some were recruited through deception. 3 days after a car exploded near the Red Fort in the Indian capital Delhi, killing 8 people, investigators say they are checking if it has any links to the recent arrests of 7 men by police in Indian-administered Kashmir. They say they are also investigating if it has any connection to the recent seizure of 2,900 kilograms of explosives from a Delhi suburb. On Wednesday, the federal cabinet issued a resolution calling it a heinous terror incident perpetrated by anti-national forces. South Sudan's leader, Salva Kiir, has in a shock move dismissed one of his vice presidents, Benjamin Bolmel, who had been tipped as his possible successor. Kiir stripped Bolmel of his military rank of general and dismissed him from the National Security Service. He also sacked the central bank governor and the head of the Revenue Authority, both considered close allies of Bolmel. No explanation was given for the dismissals, which were announced in a decree broadcast on state television. It comes when there are growing fears of political instability and a possible return to civil war after the recent collapse of a fragile power-sharing agreement between Kiir and the opposition leader. The world's burning of fossil fuels is set to release more planet-warming carbon dioxide than ever before this year, according to new figures. It is another sign that efforts to fight climate change by cutting emissions are moving far too slowly to meet international targets, as countries meet in Brazil for UN climate talks COP30. But emissions have grown much less quickly over the past decade as renewables have taken off, providing hope that the world's warming trend can still be curbed. And separate analysis by clean energy think tank Ember suggests that fossil fuel use in electricity generation has flatlined in 2025, largely thanks to the growth of solar power. And Australian windsurfer Andy McDonald has recalled surviving a shark attack in Margaret River in Western Australia earlier this week. Mr. McDonald encountered the shark while windsurfing, saying later that he believed, "This is the moment that is the end of my life." The shark gnawed on his board and then dived deeper into the ocean, leaving him mostly unharmed.
Just out of the blue, something just went straight up from behind, like a super solid hit. And I was flying through the air and just crashed into the water. And I actually fell. I knew it was a shark attack. I was tangled up with the shark. I don't know what it was doing. It was obviously biting my board. I came up to the water surface and my sail was floating. It's got inflatable tubes on it. So I jumped up onto it and just lay down.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.